What's up with the squad? Back with another video. I seen the title was going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Let me tell y'all something. One thing about this, and I want to say this before we get into this video and the next video I'll be dropping tonight, possibly. I do pray that everybody's safe, everybody's warm. I do pray for the homeless, pray for the less fortunate. Because people are saying, that this is serious. Even if it's not as serious, when it comes down to the snow, it is extremely cold outside. So I do pray, that everybody's warm, that everybody's safe, that everybody have those essentials when it comes to flashlights, when it comes to, blankets, candles, having your phone charged, gas in the cars. I do pray, for that, when it comes down to it, and, many other things. But one thing about it, when it comes down, to what's going on in Minnesota is definitely wild to me. It says Minnesota is what happens when you have a failed state in local leadership. And it's definitely crazy just for the simple fact of what's going on and what's going down right now. And it's wild to me. It's truly wild to me. And it just goes to show you when you have literally two individuals that try their best to make things worse, making it worse and worse. It says, did the Minneapolis police chief just forget to mention that the man that, was unalived by agents was armed, with a handgun and 2 magazines? Check it out right here.
Approximately 9:03 a.m. this morning, Minneapolis police received a report of a shooting involving federal law enforcement in the area of East 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue on the south side of the city. Officers arrived and found an adult male with multiple gunshot wounds when they arrived. Life-saving aid was being rendered, and he was transported by ambulance to Hennepin County Medical Center, where he was later pronounced deceased. Based on the information that we have, which is very limited, this is a 37-year-old white male who is a Minneapolis resident, and we believe he is an American citizen. We have not been told any official reports of what has led up to the shooting, but we have seen the video that is circulating on social media. Our demand today is for those federal agencies that are operating in our city to do so with the same discipline, humanity, and integrity that effective law enforcement in this country demands. We urge everyone to remain peaceful. We recognize that there is a lot of anger and a lot of questions around what has happened, but we need people to remain peaceful. In the area, we have an unlawful assembly at this time. Minneapolis police have given multiple warnings for the crowd to disperse.
My thing is that they keep on telling people to stay peaceful, to remain peaceful, to do things peaceful. How about just telling people to go home? And I say this, and before I go into that, let me go into this. Never did it. I will say this to anybody. It is very, 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 very important. Oops, I went off my notes. Very, very important to say all facts. Not to beat around the bush. Not to say this, to say all the facts. It's very, very important. As you being a police chief that's speaking, it's very important to say all facts. This guy not only had a handgun, but he had 2 magazines. Having a handgun, okay, you'll say, well, maybe, you carry. People carry. But having 2 magazines on person, that's kind of showing, it's, what I mean? It's one of those things. Not to mention what I was, getting into. When it all comes down to it, I just feel like it's very, very, very crazy that they take this direction and they tell people, to be peaceful. Tell people, first of all, the weather is getting bad. Tell people they need to be at home. Stop this protest. Stop what's going on right now. We need to reevaluate what's going on right now. This is bad. As this being a police chief, as Mayor Frey being a mayor, Governor Tim Walz being that governor, you do that. Y'all need to go home. Things need to stop. The way that these things are going right now is not it. Sometimes you have to take that accountability, and they're not taking accountability whatsoever. And it's really, really sad. I'm going to say this, and a lot of y'all probably agree with me with what this is. This is on Mayor Fry and Tim Walz. That's how I look at it. This is on them because, again, tell people to go home. Y'all are hyping people up. Y'all got people with weapons that's doing, causing all this chaos and destruction. Tell people to go home. Why keep going and keep inciting violence? It's not okay. Truly not okay. Check it out, Fox News, y'all.
We have some breaking new details. We brought to you Garrett Tenney there in Minneapolis. A shooting has occurred, and DHS providing us with this picture. This is the gun and the 2 magazines that the individual who was shot allegedly had on him. Now, that individual is in an ambulance. We are unaware of his condition. It was a Border Patrol shooting, Border Patrol neutralizing this individual who had this weapon on him. This is all taking place in Minneapolis. We have some breaking news.
Definitely crazy, y'all. That's why I say it's very, very important to get out those facts. Very important. So before this was actually posted. This was posted yesterday. And this just goes to show you on how many people pay attention on and why people say that it's very important for Mayor Fry and Governor Tim Walz to work with ICE rather than going against. Check it out, Scott Jennings.
Yeah, this could all come to an end right now if Tim Walz and Jacob Fry would simply cooperate. In cities and states across this country, you have local officials, local law enforcement, local political leaders who are simply cooperating with the federal government, with DHS, and with ICE. What does that mean? It means you get to go into the jails, and you get to take custody of illegal aliens in an administrative way, in the hallway, as opposed to having to send ICE agents into a community and chase them down because the local politicians in Minnesota have let them out into the street. This can all end today if the Democrats in Minnesota, you're not seeing this chaos anywhere else. The ingredients that are causing the chaos are unique to Minnesota. It's called Walz and Fry.
That's
Cooperate
kind of
in this
silly.
end.
Like
The
that.
government has privately and publicly every day of this begged for cooperation from the state officials in Minnesota. They beg every single day.
If they've done that, Scott, then why aren't they telling the American people that they've done that? Why are they
literally do it on
instead?
their
Wait a minute. The image
public
the
statements every
government
day.
wants.
All ICE and federal law enforcement are trying to do are remove people like this off of the streets of Governor Walz's city in Minneapolis and of his state in Minnesota. If you look at some of the individuals in this photo, these are all illegal alien criminals who came into our country under the previous administration. This is some of the most disturbing crimes you will ever read about. And there's only a few reporters in this room who will actually talk about these individuals. This is all ICE is trying to do. They are trying to remove people like this from Governor Walz's state. And so, yes, he should pick up the phone and he should say that he will cooperate with this president and with the federal government in making Minnesota safer, because that's all President Trump and his administration want to do.
It's definitely important. Very, very important. That's the thing. That's the thing when it comes down to it, that makes me frustrated and makes me mad is the simple fact that, you don't have these individuals, going home. You're not actually calming down these individuals. Y'all are literally going on these platforms, getting in the media and literally saying, let's be peaceful. We need to be peaceful. But then again, in the same sentence saying, y'all need to get hype. We need to defend. We need to do this. That's not right. It's not right. And it's not doing nothing but causing more and more chaos. I'm telling y'all. It says right here, Minneapolis Mayor Fry, I keep on, forget it. Fry is furious after calling the armed man who attacked, Border Patrol constituent. It's pretty crazy. Again, says, notice what he didn't mention. The handgun or the 2 magazines. I'm telling y'all. Very important for these details. Check it out.
More than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents, how many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end?
It's easy. Tell everybody to go home. Tell everybody stop what they're doing. Tell everybody stop throwing objects. To stop shooting objects. Or trying to use their cars. You know, or tell people, actually get on there, be a man about it. And tell individuals they don't need to do this. But you get on here and want to play victim.
How many more lives need to be lost before this administration realizes that a political and partisan narrative is not as important as American values? How many times must local and national leaders must plead with you, Donald Trump, to end this operation and recognize that this is not creating safety in our city? As you'll hear from Director Sayer in just a second, we have seen these kinds of operations in other places, in other countries, but not here in America. Not in a way where a great American city is being invaded by its own federal government. I'm done being told that our community members are responsible for the vitriol in our streets. I'm done being told that our local
Play that back.
Vitriol in our streets.
Play it back one more time.
I'm done being told that our community members are responsible for the vitriol in our streets.
I'm not going 100% blame, you know, the and I am in a sense. I am a little bit, because you can't control a person's actions and what they're doing. So I can't say that but I'm not going to completely blame them. I blame Fry as well as Walz. And I say that because, again, these are individuals that have that power. You know, can't nobody be on the streets. This has gotten this bad. Let's do a curfew. This has, you know, y'all know where I'm getting at. But to sit there and not take any accountability for your actions, and then throw, and that's what's wild to me. They're very, very quick when it comes to Fry, when it comes to Tim Walz. Very quick, y'all. Very, very quick to throw anybody up under the bus and never take accountability for their actions. And the funny thing is that these individuals out here protesting and doing everything that they, you know, Fry or Walz is saying, he literally just threw them under the bus right there.
I'm done being told that our local elected officials are solely responsible for turning down the temperature. Just yesterday, we saw 15,000 people peacefully protesting in the streets, speaking out.
Where are they getting this peacefully protesting at? That's where I'm confused. Where are they getting this peacefully protesting when every time I look up, I see somebody doing something to an agent?
Standing up for their neighbors. Not a single broken window, not a single injury. Those peaceful protests embody the very principles that both Minneapolis and America was founded upon. Conversely, the mass militarized force and unidentified agents who are occupying our streets, that is what weakens our country. That is what erodes trust in both law enforcement and in democracy itself. So to everyone listening, stand with Minneapolis. Stand up for America. Recognize that your children will ask you what side you were on. Your grandchildren will ask you what you did to act to prevent this from happening again. To make sure that the foundational elements of our democracy were rock solid.
And that's the scary part about it. Is, you know, when you go about and you speak on kids. That's the scary part about it. You know, even having that conversation and have to have that conversation to, well, I acted like this and I did this. And, you know, there's a lot of parents, there's a lot of individuals out here that's actually doing, you know, and took that wrong move. I'm telling y'all, this individual literally it just sucks. Truly sucks. Says now, Mayor Fry says he now wants the National Guard to help because he's completely incompetent at managing Minneapolis, which truly he is. Says President Trump wanted to guard there months ago, but Governor Walz sued him. Literally sued him. President Trump wanted the National Guard there.
I have formally requested assistance from the National Guard to support the limited number of officers that we have in the Minneapolis Police Department. We have around 600 officers in total. Days off have been canceled. Our incredible Minneapolis police officers have been working tirelessly to do their day-to-day work, and simultaneously, they are put in the middle of these chaotic situations. We will not be able to do this on our own, and so we are getting assistance from both mutual aid jurisdictions as well as the request to the governor for the National Guard, and we're appreciative of the assistance.
One thing about it, and I want to go back to right here on this part.
Police Department. We have around 600 officers in total. Days off have been canceled. Our incredible Minneapolis police officers have been working tirelessly to do their day-to-day work, and simultaneously.
And I want to go back because they're tired because of the decisions that they're making. Fry and Walz. That's why. They're tired. You know, and there might be some cops that obviously, you know, support that. You know, there's cops that have left. Like, I'm not dealing with this. But there are cops that literally are like, you know, we're done. Like, I can't deal with this. And there's cops that's still in the force. That, again, that's working. That's doing but and again, it's decisions that they're making. They didn't want the National Guard there. You know, it's just, I'm telling you, man, this is ridiculous to me. Very ridiculous. And it gets even more ridiculous. You literally have Tim Walz speaking on Civil War. And this is I'm not, again, not trying to scare nobody. This is literally what he's like, listen.
When things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation on that July 3rd, 1863. And I think now we may be in that moment that the nation's looking to us to hold the line on democracy.
This right here is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. And this is exactly why. On why things are continuing to happen in Minnesota. One thing about it, definitely insane and crazy. Says concrete barriers and fencing have been put up everywhere to block professional paid agitators at the Minneapolis Federal Building. They have a snack table, propane heater and tank, blankets, and other equipment. Find the funders because it's clearly being paid for. Check it out.
To free them up to be able to help with other parts of the city. We actually saw just 30 seconds ago the first sign of the National Guard arriving here. Multiple National Guard trucks that came right past here and went right there down the road. So what we can see here is that this has been one of the central points of protest over the last 3 weeks almost now. And you can see they have erected these concrete barriers and this fencing, and you see protesters lined all along this fencing here, and they are staged here like they're going to be here for a while. You can see there's a snack table back here. There's a propane heater with a propane tank. They have blankets as well for anyone who's feeling cold, because it is, you know, -10, -12 degrees. But this is the first place that the National Guard is going to be being deployed to, what could be the first of multiple areas around the city, as we wait to see, as we go into this evening, what happens with these protests. And if in fact, like the governor and the mayor have said, that they do have enough forces on hand to be able to control things and keep things calm and peaceful, is what they were calling for people to do. But we're going to be keeping an eye on that going forward. John?
So to be clear, Garrett, these members of the National Guard, they are being sent in by the governor. Is that correct?
Correct. They are being sent in by the governor. They have been on standby for more than 2 weeks now, waiting to see if they would need to be called up. Thus far, they have felt like things have been calm enough, and that the state has been able to handle anything that has come up. We've seen what federal officials have argued is that it hasn't been enough, because you've had these groups of protesters that will follow around ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, as they are conducting their immigration enforcement operations, and surrounding them and closing them almost everywhere they go. But they have largely left the federal agents on their own in those cases. But as far
and constantly trying to, take that and defend themselves. And it's definitely sickening that you have these individuals that are clearly, doing everything and anything, to make everything worse. So as the riot exploded in Minneapolis right now, is now 100% paid and organized. At the Border Patrol, that situation happened today. Says protesters are taking bans from organizers, getting food handed out, receiving notification on where to go, knew exactly where, the spot to swarm. And it's definitely crazy, what they're doing.
To you?
Says right here, protesters throwing rocks. I'm telling y'all, it's crazy.
Aisha, it definitely does feel organized to me, and I think you can tell these people are well connected. They are in communication with each other, and they are giving them instructions. This happened all so quickly. People knew where to go, and they are taking commands. This is an organized movement here. There's communication, there's food, there's notices, there's notifications. They got out here in a hurry, and they outnumber this police force probably by about 10-1 at this point.
It's incredible. Let's go back to Garrett Tenney. Garrett.
Definitely crazy. Definitely crazy. And it's sick. Very sick. You got right here. This is Greg Monvino. And not even gonna lie, it just goes to show you on what Tim Walz and Mayor Fry are causing. Check it out.
At 9:05 a.m. Central Standard Time, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien, Jose Huerta Chuma. You can see this illegal alien on the screen to my left and right. That is Jose Huerta Chuma, whose criminal history includes domestic assault to intentionally inflict bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Then, about 200 rioters arrived at the scene and began to obstruct and assault law enforcement. Crowd control measures have been deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. This situation is evolving, and more information is forthcoming. The officer was highly trained and had been serving as a Border Patrol agent for 8 years. The officer has extensive training as a range safety officer and less lethal officer. At 9.
Beginning of this video, I said facts are important. Facts are definitely important when it comes down to it. People, obviously aren't realizing that, aren't getting that, and it definitely is, very, very important for, the facts to be out there, not to beat around the bush, and, to say, a lot more than, oh, we're about to play the victim. We're not taking accountability for, anything that's going on. I'm telling y'all, definitely insane. Make sure y'all stay tuned for the next video dropping tonight. Let me know y'all comments and thoughts on this, Definitely, I love to see, what y'all have to say. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.